Today, my featured guest is Bohdan, and I can't pronounce his last name, so he's happy to do that, or you can find it in the show notes. But this guy is from the Ukraine. He's joining us from the Ukraine right now, and we're off on the right foot, Startup Nation. Like we're just having conversations about being a man and what it's like to be a father, and he's gonna be get married soon and be a dad, and he was just open. He was open. He's like, dude, how you doing it, man? Are you a screw up? Are you a screw up? I don't want to be a screw up like you, Joseph. Are you a screw up? Right? I like the human talk. I like the human conversation up front. I want to kind of see who is he, what's he about. So what does he do for business? Hey, he does brand identity. Brand identity, right? So he's a creative director, brand strategist, entrepreneur for over a decade now. I'm just going to leave it there and let him show up and teach us a little bit, right? So a lot of you entrepreneurs, you have no brand for your company, or you have no brand for yourself, no personal brand. You're just showing up trying to make money, trying to pay the bills. But you're forgetting that people do business with people. They don't do business with inanimate objects. Okay? So you got to create this persona, this identity that is authentically you. And then wrap your company around it. Did you get that? Don't wrap you around your company. Wrap your company around you. Who the F are you, man? So many of you pretend that you're something you're not. I used to do it. I used to do it in so many of my early startups. I was like, yeah, I'm this. Hype, pumping the tires, right? Just inflating my ego so that the world thinks I'm something bigger or better or more impressive than my current reality. That I'm dealing with some stuff, that I'm struggling, that I'm barely getting by, that I'm just like everyone else, right? We're all out
I
there
think
lying. So go
I think
ahead,
so.
Bodan.
But people they feel the BS, I believe. If you're trying to build some image that is just not real, people are gonna crack it very fast. Just within first conversations, I believe, or when the first results come, if it's some service collaboration, if it's a product, they are still gonna feel who you really are, I believe, through the product because it takes so much, and you would definitely know it. It takes a lot to build a startup, and there's so many details that you have to look into, and all of this comes out of your own kind of wholesomeness, I believe. You can never be very accurate about the details. You can never hire the best people if you're wandering around even about yourself. So yeah, I think staying true is the best thing that can happen. And I believe actually the best brands are built around that. You just take who you are because you're authentic, right? And you leverage that to the maximum possible. It doesn't mean you need to pretend to be somebody else. And actually, that's what I see a lot of people doing. They're trying to fit in, trying to be somebody else, or because that this has worked for them, I want to be like that. This is a good practice. I believe that the best way to go about the brand is understanding who you really are and actually putting that through a proper framework. It's the same for the personal branding, for the company frame branding. And you are absolutely also right saying that the company branding also starts with the person because you are the driver. If you don't live up to the values that you communicate, again, people are going to crack that nut and see that you're not the person that you're talking to. And once they kind of don't believe your word, you're not going to go far with that. For example, we can take Facebook, right? Saying that they protect the privacy and they're careful about that. Do you believe anything about kind of Facebook a big time after that? Nah, because they're not really doing it. We take Apple, who is talking about the privacy and that they take it really seriously, and you believe them. So whatever you're communicating, I believe it should be authentic. Otherwise, again, it's just ruining things rather than building up this metaphoric image that you want to have in people's eyes.
So, Bodan, what I'm hearing you say is that branding and creating an authentic, powerful, impressive, compelling, attractive brand is really about keeping your word, making your actions and behavior line up and be in alignment with what you say or what you promise to your clients, right? Not breaking your word. It's pretty basic. This comes down to just treat others the way you want to be treated, right? But if like you're showing up and you're lying to people and then you have 50 different reasons why, well, I had to, it's this, and pointing fingers and blaming and stuff. But at the end of the day, like your examples, like Facebook, right? Like we protect your privacy. Meanwhile, they're selling it to freaking overseas, man. They're like, it's insane. Nobody trusts them anymore, right? Because their words are in conflict with their behavior. So, Startup Nation, like, take a self check right now, man. I had to do this so many times. And when I looked and listen, the scariest place for you to ever look is within yourself. Like the scariest place in the world for you to look is within yourself because a lot of you don't like what you see in there because you've been
Yeah, for
cutting
sure.
corners, right? Like you're skipping, you're lying, you're doing whatever, you're hustling, you're grinding, whatever it takes, but you're screwing people over sometimes. Yeah, but I got to pay my bills. I got to put food on the table. Yeah, but you just stole from that guy's food on the table. like it doesn't justify. All right. So listen, I grew up in New York, right? Like I said, and one thing about New Yorkers, you could love us or hate us, but like you at least know where we're coming from, right? We'll just tell you to your face, right? And I appreciate that, right? Because I grew up with that. And I think a lot of people, I know I'm in Tampa, Florida, a lot of people appreciate that, just that realness. Like, hey, if you don't like me, let me know you don't like me, and then we can like work from there. But going back to your point earlier, if we show up inauthentic in our brand and what we're promising in our right in our deliverables, then I think the worst experience is when customers know it, they figure it out that we're lying or that we're not actually real, we're not authentic, and they don't tell us about it. Like I think that's
Just
the
show up some
worst
numbers though.
because there's no feedback loop. Like, wouldn't it be better if they just said, "Hey, you're effing lying to me. You said this, you did," right? And if we heard 5 or 10 clients say that to us, what are we going to actually do?
In the end of the day, I think it's your job to also like pull that feedback. It'd be super nice if people would be sharing everything, but it's just the whole science of actually getting them to say truth as well. Because having conducted like lots of user interviews, reviewing brands, reviewing apps, usability testings, oh my God, like people are always kind of lying, not for the bad purposes, not necessarily, but they will always try to, kind of show themselves as very smart or prove themselves extremely capable of anything, whatever. But that in the end of the day is not usually helping you to get the most honest feedback. So like you'll be asking like, how do you like my product? And they'll be like, I love it. This is like absolutely amazing, but they don't use it. And that's like the easy example. There's a very good story that I've heard. The guys were doing the testing of the design of the milk packaging. So they showed up to this lady and they asked like, how do you like the packaging? Is it, kind of working for you? And she was like, yeah, it's absolutely amazing. I love it. There's nothing wrong with it. I use it every day. And then when they finished the conversation, she just kind of smacked that thing, like the package, in order to fit it into the garbage. And they were like, well, why do you do that? She was like, because that's what I want from it. I want it to be like way more compact so I could fit it into the garbage can. So when you ask directly, she would tell you, I don't want anything. Everything is perfect. But then when you actually observe what they do, it can be different. So like probably the wisest and simplest rule of life is also like observe the actions, not necessarily always listen to the words only. And again, that comes down to the very first point that people are gonna crack you or not. Like you can tell all this amazing marketing kind of things, but when your product really is bad, they're gonna find out very, very soon that it is just not what has been promised in the very beginning. So I think like making that consistent is a job of every founder that really wants to get the mass traction and people to believe in his product and actually recommend that. So you cannot say your product is good if it's not really good. Build a good product
So,
first, and
so
then
Bohdan, how do we observe our clients when we're not around them? Like we're not seeing them use our actual products, especially if we have a digital product and we send it to them and they're like, "Oh yeah, it was great. Thank you so much," or whatever. But we don't know if they actually applied anything in it, if they used it, what did they get the positive result out of it, right? And we could send them the surveys, but then again, we're back in that same problem of them just trying to give us what they think we would want to hear because they would want to hear it. They don't want to hurt our feelings, but it's not actually serving us. How do we get around that? Like, is there a better way to observe what's real with our clients and using our products or identifying with our brand and find those problem areas and then get to work and correct them, right? So that we satisfy our clients at a much higher standard.
It is based out of a very interesting word that I'm not necessarily sure everybody even understands properly, that is called insight. And the insight is actually when you observe a person in a natural behavior doing something, this is what is called insight. It's not, kind of, it cannot be faked. It's, for example, if you want to see how people interact with some package in a supermarket, for example, you would just hide somewhere or look upon the camera how they kind of choose between them. Because if you come up and ask, they're gonna tell you different stuff. So it's like this Schrodinger effect, kind of, as for me, right? So if you would ask how to do it, like there's obviously it's a huge science of getting the insides out, right? So it cannot be communicated in just one word sentence. But at the end of the day, it comes down to observing them in the most natural behavior kind of patterns possible. So for example, what we do, we try to talk less and show more, and without any like super guided directions. For example, if I'm running the usability testing of the app, I would just like show them the app and say like, not explain what it is about, not ask some things, they like try to pay your bills. And then we see how they, kind of where they try to look for the button, do they find it, what kind of things they have. Sometimes we would ask them to comment, like what are your thoughts that are coming into the play. But again, even like commenting would be already some kind of layer of little BS there, because they, you don't want to show up as a fool or something, especially when it comes to interfaces, right? People want to show up as they know all the technical abilities and they're very, I don't know, capable, but it's not. So I think like trying to get them to just like look at what they do without talking too much. That's what I usually try to do with all the usability testings of digital products always. Just get them the scenario, pay the bill, or like export me this PDF thing out of it, and then we see how they do it. Because again, they can tell me it's easy to do it, but if we see them looking for the button for 25 seconds, yeah, like pushing the button was easy when you know where it is, but it takes 25 seconds for you to find it. That's what is the truth behind it, not yeah, it was easy thing.
So for that insight in observing that in that example, right? Like them taking 25 seconds to identify where the button location is. That's an opportunity right there to go, oh, geez, we got to make a much bigger visible button that's just like right in their face, right? There's no thinking. They just click it. So that's an opportunity, Startup Nation, for you to improve your product, improve your service. But like we got to get into it, right? Like almost sit down with them and observe them. And I like the way you were doing it there in your example. Like you're actually giving them instructions and then kind of like grading them. But you're not grading them, you're just observing them in their natural habitat, kind of like stepping back and just giving them one clear, simple instruction: pay your bills. And then watching them struggle. And right?
Yeah,
Or watching them just sail right through it and you're like, I think we have a winning product here. Like, man, they
sure.
paid their bills in under 30 seconds. That was awesome. Or it took them 3 minutes and I saw them huffing and puffing and looking confused and they had their eyebrows kind of scrunched because they're trying to figure it out. But they're like, no, this is easy. Really, it is. It's easy. But their face is lying, right? Like, this is great. This is great opportunity. So, how does this really connect with our brand and creating that brand identity, bringing this back full circle? Because I think this is intertwined, don't you?
Sure. So I would probably come back to what I'm actually doing at my agency as well. We do branding, but actually like at the bigger part of it. So we do the brands, the websites, and design of the apps. So we're working with tech brands. So for tech brand, what branding is, right? Is the set of emotions and associations that somebody has with your product or service, right? So it happens on the identity side of things, the logo, the communication, and everything. But in the end of the day, the biggest emotion that the people are going to have about your tech product is actually the product itself. That's why like this is how like all these three backgrounds come into one thing.
So
So
question,
again,
question
yeah,
real quick. You said the number one thing is, the product itself. It's not the result that the product gives them as the number one thing. It's the actual product and their
well,
experience
the
with it.
product is the tool. It's the tool that they use in order to get the result that they want. And if
So
it's
is
serving
the
them, it's great.
experience
Yeah.
is the experience of using the tool in tech more important to the end user than the actual result it gets?
I believe it's the whole actually service pipeline, I would say. Like it's starts again from the first slide when they just see you, then they use your product, and there's like after you use your product, there's also interaction that is happening with the user that can also help them achieve their goals. For example, some push notification things, reminders, I don't know, like emails, or just calling you to say like, hey, you've been not using our app for quite a bit of time. Maybe you need some support here and there. And this whole thing defines the experience, and then it defines the emotion that you have towards the product in the end of the day. So product is like very important. It's at the heart of it, I believe, but definitely not the only organ. Like all the organs in our body are important, right? The skin, the bones, everything.
Yeah, no, that makes a lot of sense. So going in and identifying what are the main organs, right, that I need to address in my product first, right? So it's the product, it's the result, right? Those are two top ones right there. And then one at a time, once you get those really like just aligned and smooth and seamless, like then you start identifying, okay, where are the other speed bumps or hiccups that my client's having in this journey, in this client journey with my product, right? Yeah, that's very powerful, brother. All right,
And
so like, mm,
aligning that is also like extremely important, but there's other thing in order to have a stable associations with you is the consistency. So you don't just do it once and align it once. You have to, if you're doing the communication about your product, you also have to communicate the same thing all over again so people remember that. Because if you're trying to disperse that, always pivot that, always kind of reposition that, you come up with different messaging, then the set of association that people are going to have is going to be different. It's going to be different in everybody else's head, and it's going to be unique anyway. But what you can do with, again, the brand strategy, brand exercise is try to kind of get that opinions to be as centered as possible towards what you want people to be thinking, feeling about yourself. So the consistency is also extremely important.
I agree. I think the consistency removes the confusion for the client, right? And a confused buyer, what do we know? They don't buy, right? And I think a confused purchaser, someone who already purchased, becomes, right? They have buyer's remorse at that point, right? So we got to remove confusion from this seamless client journey, at every single stop. And that's your job as a founder, Startup Nation, right? Is to go in, get your product good enough, right? Like it's 80%, like it's good, it gets the results. There's still a lot of hiccups and stuff. Launch that sucker, right? Because you're going to get the most insight by observing clients use it and fumble with it and mess it up and get stuck. And then you want to be there with them and be like, hey, where did you get stuck? Like, why? What happened? What were you feeling right there? Okay, that was way too hard for you. Okay, I get it. Or it's just too much effort, too much sacrifice. Like I'm doing a Shredded Fathers program right now, right? So I help, dads that are over 40, 50, and 60, right, to get physically shredded in their body, right? So we do workouts and nutrition, and then we do an online brotherhood 3 days a week. But like when they're in the fitness app, our custom app, like some of them were getting stuck. And I'm watching them. I'm literally at a coffee shop with one of my clients, just watching him kind of fumble, trying to find okay, where's that button? Where's that button? Right. And he didn't want to look dumb, like, like you said. So he's like, no, I got it. I got it. I got it. But I'm like, okay, this is taking way too long. I got to make this to where it's like for a 7-year-old could just click, click, click right through. So awesome. Yeah. Awesome.
And
That.
it actually sometimes goes like way even deeper than even just finding the button. I had the cases when I was testing the financial application and the people needed to connect their bank account into the app in order to like use it fully. And we had the sentence that was saying like, we are only doing the read only mode from your bank account. We're not doing any actions, just doing the read only. People were saying like, I'm not necessarily sure this is safe and secure, but we were like, but we just, kind of showed you the message that it kind of, we're doing the read only thing. And still they were like hesitant. They first of all didn't see the message first. I was like, oh yeah, it's here. So they sometimes would just omit things because probably of the fast tempo of how people are doing stuff. I
Mhm.
believe currently it's even being faster and faster,
So how'd
right?
you correct that?
Goldfish attention. So again, you have to then go into the conversation. In the end of the day, you have to process the conversation properly. But you say like, okay, what would be the reason for you to trust, right? And they would be like, maybe if you told me like it is built by Raiffeisen Bank, I would trust it because I trust the bank. And I was like, but it actually says that. But they're like, oh yeah, I didn't see that either. So like, okay, we have to bring it up again. So like, first off, when you're building an interface, you'd be like, why would I explain the same thing twice? I already explained that. But when you see people stumbling upon and just, kind of not doing anything with the app, not because they can find it, they see it, it's there, but it's probably just not visible enough, not credible enough. So you have to play around with the visualizations. How do you make sure that this is like kind of secure, So then when we go on to the next person, we would then intentionally ask like, do you feel any security kind of concerns over there? And they'd be like, no, I think we're good. No, it's fine. So yeah,
All
that's the way
right,
to do it.
Startup Nation, I'm hoping this is triggering some things in your brain right now as a founder of your company to start looking into your product or service and really just like exploring and experimenting. Like, where is my client getting stuck? Where are they getting slowed down? Where are they getting hesitant? Where are they getting confused? Where are they feeling like a lack of trust? Possibly like, ooh, this doesn't feel secure. Like they're just having that not good feeling when they're going through the experience. You want to get there and go there with them and not be scared of finding problems. Like you actually want to go hunting for them. Because when you hunt for those problems, you're going to find solutions and then everything gets better. You're going to attract the next client that comes in is going to have a much more amazing experience than your current client, which means it's going to be easier to sell your product, right? Which means more money for you, right? More income, more revenue, more growth and scalability. This is why you got to go in, right? And it all comes back to you. You are the brand of your company, right? So you want to create a seamless brand experience, a seamless user experience that really represents your standard. Like, what is excellence to you? What does that even look like? Do you even believe in excellence? If you don't, then leave your product looking like crap or, just a crappy experience because you're a crappy person. I don't know. But if you're like this amazing person with this great heart and you just want to like create this excellent, experience for all your clients and get them the results as fast as humanly possible, then get in and find the areas where that's being slowed down. All right, so
I
Bohdan.
think the tricky part here is actually not also tapping into the perfectionism trap as well. So it's a very like interesting balance between you really want to be sure that what you're rolling out is good enough for you, but at the same time, if you try to get it to some unrealistic perfectionist state, that can also like slow you down a lot. So I think that's the interesting part about business. You have so many parameters, right? And you have to know how to properly balance them out, the quality, the perfection of it, the speed, right, the pace, and like what the market is doing right now, what the people want right now, what they're going to tell you, and then the financial side of things, and you like the design side of things, and like technical part of things. So I think like bridging it all together properly and finding the right balance to make it is also like extremely important.
I agree completely. All right, we're going to shift gears here before we wrap up today's conversation. And I wanted to ask you the number one area that I see, this is my personal experience, that I see other entrepreneurs, especially doing under 100K, the number one problem I see is their marketing. They just don't know how to market their products, their services, create that visibility, and create lead flow, right? Coming into their business. Um, After that, right, some of them suck at sales, others are amazing at sales. But I think universally, the number one problem is lead flow for everyone, right? You're drowning out in just this noisy world. It's just getting harder and harder. What was the number one most successful strategy you used in your marketing to create, new clients, bringing new clients into your business so that you could sell them or have the opportunity to sell them?
It's actually the messaging, I believe, on the marketing side of things. So the message should be relevant for the target audience. It should not be like absolutely default. It should again reflect who you are and your authentic self rather than being a bunch of ephemeric bullshit statements about really the innovation of innovation all in one, help you do good, right? You want to communicate clearly, communicate punchy, communicate in a way that actually stands out because there's just so many options out there. Like I really doubt that somebody is building a huge build a big idea in the blue ocean, right? So like there's all these things that are being offered to you. There's a bazillion of entrepreneurs offering the same solution that you're trying to offer, maybe with a different spice. So you have to really cut through noise, really be relevant, really be yourself, and like refine that. And this is informed by the strategy again. So the strategy should always come first. Like what do you want to achieve and how? This is how your messages are informed, and the messages themselves are actually kept within the strategy. But then at the end of the day is how you communicate them. So this is where actually design comes into part because we believe the design is visual communication. It's about having the message and choosing the most appealing visual way of transmitting that message. If it's the graphics, the visuals, the videos, like promo videos or whatever, like they all kind of are the way of transferring that message to the people so they can on the very first step understand what you're trying to build to this world, why, who you are, and why they should believe you and try your product, I believe. And this is again, I think where most of the people kind of get stuck with the default messaging, being just like everybody else, telling the very empty promises or like any bullshit that is just not them and not what their product actually does. And if you like, it is a big science to determine who you are and kind of build that part. But you can also again ask your users, and they might tell you even better what your product is actually doing for them, not what you intend the product to do, but what it actually does to their life.
Could you give us an example of like when you got going and what was the catchphrase, the one or two sentences in your own marketing, right, that really clients resonated with? It represented yourself authentically, and you just knew you nailed it, and that brought in some new clients for you. Could you give us an example?
For sure, our brand slogan, I believe, it's called "Let's add some cream on top." So what that means basically is we always make an extra step in things because we just love what we do. So we would always kind of work harder, always deliver more than needed. Like we would tell it, we will bring three concepts, we'll bring five concepts, we will rework them till their very end, and we'll never just like settle for average, I believe. And this is what our clients are also saying, like, guys, you went all in for this. That's why I love working with you because you are never like kind of just giving me something. It's not about like this trade in, trade out relationship. It's about really caring about the product, about the person behind it, about the purpose that is there, and about your craft. And this way you can always go a step further. And we call it again, let's add some cream on top. So why do people like it? Because it has the brand name in it, which is Cream is the name of our company with the Q. And our website is thecream.com, just in terms of promotion. You can check out what I'm talking about, like on our website as well. So we're being extremely bold, we're saying, and for a big reason, because we are ourselves. We don't want to fit in. So that's probably my like last recommendation again for everybody and the underline of this whole conversation, right? Be yourself, be your authentic self, and keep communicated in the sexiest way possible.
That's a great example, by the way, and it really reflects who you are as a founder, right? Is like you are the guy that believes in going the extra mile for your clients, right? So let's put a little cream on top, add a little cream on top. What a great catchphrase to sum up a standard, something that is your standard of excellence in life, personally, probably, and professionally. All right, Startup Nation, go find yours. What's that catchphrase? Make it short, make it punchy, make it authentically you. Okay, put it out the world, right? It's got to be something that just kind of grabs someone's attention and cuts through all the noise. What is that for you? All right, so Bohdan, we're about to go through our hustle round. Just a couple minutes here. I'm going to ask you 10 quick fire questions. You'll have about 3 seconds to answer each. Don't overthink it.
Sure.
It's just for fun. It's like a game show without the prizes. Are you ready?
Yes.
All right. What is your favorite thing about owning your own business? Yeah.
It's the freedom that I have to work with talented people.
Nice. What's your least favorite thing?
Talking about money.
Yeah, I get that. I believe we're all challenged or struggling with something at any given moment of our life. It's just part of the human condition. What are you currently struggling with right now? Either.
Getting more clients, I believe, as everybody. There's never enough of the game changers on board.
There you go. What are you most afraid of?
Being average.
Hmm. What did you spend way too much time doing your first year in this business?
Mm, Teaching my sales how to do the job because I had all the expertise and I had to teach them about the product because you have to know the product in order to sell it.
Yeah. What secret fear do you have about people?
Pardon me, what was the first part?
What secret fear do you have about people?
That they're all lying even more than I think.
Yeah, big one. What do you wish you had learned sooner in business?
That I should be less, I guess, emotional towards people that I like work with. because I usually like love everybody because they're so good, but then at the end of the day they leave because that's the normal pace of kind of kind of business. So I guess that would be the lesson for me, not get too much emotionally invested.
All right, so less broken hearts in your business, huh?
Yeah, sure.
All right, so what's a new habit you're going to create this year?
Um, that's a good one. A new habit. Getting fit, even more fit, I guess.
I like it, brother. What's a bad habit you're going to break?
Nicotine, I believe.
Nicotine. There you go, man. That's going to help with the healthy, getting fit part. Pick three words to
It starts with the
describe.
body.
Yeah, pick three words to describe who you are now.
Um, Creative director and entrepreneur.
Nice. Pick three words to describe who you were your first year in this business.
Um, Ambitious youngster with a strive.
And last question. If you could come back to life after you died, give your family and friends only one piece of advice about real success, true success in life, what would you say to them?
Don't be afraid and go for it.
Don't be afraid and go for it, Startup Nation. All right, what's one action step that Startup Nation needs to take this week in order to move closer to their dream? What do you got for them?
Set a clear strategy, a business strategy, a brand strategy, and whatever. So long-term goals. I see a lot of people fail with that actually, not knowing the whole picture.
Okay, Startup Nation, if you enjoyed today's show, go to Apple Podcasts, write an honest review, or go to 100k.com, 100k.com. You could do it there. If we like what we write, we'll give you a shout out live on the show. And what is the best way for Startup Nation to get in touch with you, Bohdan?
Yeah, it's thecream.com, our website.
Okay, and that'll be in the show notes for you, Startup Nation. Bohdan, thank you for being on your first 100K. I wish you God's love, peace, and joy in your life, sir.
Thank you so much. It's been a pleasure.
Cheers.